Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Oh, it's Friday morning. Time for coffee. Cheers. I got out the giant Bubba coffee mug today. Because that's just how I have to roll. David, yes, I have Instagram. It's painfully honest tech at the Instagram. If you don't follow me on the Instagram, then follow me because sometimes I put pictures there. I'm admittedly not the most savvy Instagrammer, but but what it was 1700. That's 5 o'clock in your country. Look at the math. Look at the math that I can do. Oh, this is how I forgot to turn on my light. I forgot to turn on my light. That's how discombobulated I am today, people. It's a little bright. Oh. Yeah. Oh, so if you don't know, I got like dosage number 2 of the COVID-19 vaccine, the Moderna style. I've been rocking the Moderna in my veins for the past couple of days, and I have to admit, yeah, it isn't as bad as the first time I took it. Like the first time I took it, I could barely like move. I was just so like wiped out all the time, so I could barely move, and now I can. It's Friday. It's 3 days after, I think, and I can move. So I figured I'd schedule a Friday morning coffee and see if I could fumble my way through it. So what are we saying here? Watching on the supermarket in the supermarket parking lot while the girlfriend is doing groceries. 5 p.m. here. Man, why aren't you in there helping out? Help out the young lady with the groceries. Actually, my wife like doesn't like to take me because I end up getting like all kinds of stuff that we shouldn't get that we don't need. So I feel your pain. 1 a.m. in the Australia, Rebecca. Well, I guess it is Friday. Is it Friday there, or is it Saturday? I never. It's well. I mean, if it's Friday here, it's Saturday there at 1 a.m. Right? Am I right? It's 10 a.m. in Minnesota. In Minnesota, it's 10 a.m. It's 10 a.m. in Iowa as well, and we're doing our thing. I got some smooth grooves going on here today. This, people, is a new feature from the good folks, the people who sponsor this channel, the people who I have suggested that if you have any live streaming needs, this is the place you want to go. You can now have some background music. You got this is lo-fi hip hop that they offer. What else do they offer? They got ambient, they got chill down tempo, they got pop, they got rock and metal, they got classical, they got all kinds of things. And I'm sure it's going to expand. So that's pretty cool because it used to be like you could do the easiest way to do background music is to like find some copyright free stuff over on Spotify or someplace else and then just play it underneath what you're doing. This way, it's all integrated. So Restream is the place to go. Restream.com, restream.io/join/PHT is the where you go to get the Restream. They've got a free thing. If you're thinking about live streaming, you might as well sign up for the free and check it out, and then you can just go from there. I might write some loops. That's a good question. I mean, I'm still like, here's the thing that I've discovered, and the reason why I shouldn't buy new stuff is that it's 2 weeks later, and I'm still putting together this giant studio desk that I built, and everything is not plugged in, and nothing is working exactly the way that it is. And to tell you the truth, nothing has like all worked the way that it's supposed to for quite some time, because I keep doing new stuff to the setup. So yeah, tell your wife that she live a little. Yeah, well, I mean, it's for my own good. It's for my own good, and it's for her sanity. So it's for her sanity. Discovery 184 says, I'm sure Restream is very good. It's confusing sometimes because when I see it on the screen here, it looks like it's not live, but a Restream episode. Well, I mean, right now I have Restream's logo up here, and so I can take that off. So I can just like and see it goes away where the chat is. But I like to put their logo on there someplace because they know, just so people know, where I'm coming from. They have another overlay that I could use, but it goes over top of my stuff, so I don't use that. I could make my own overlay. They also have like crazy cool like backgrounds now, video backgrounds. Let's see if it comes up. Oh yeah, look at that video background, people. Here's a cool looking one. Video background on the Restream. And the thing is, this is all like live. This is all just happening. So to me, it's very cool. Justin, good morning to you. I'm gonna leave the tessellated thingy. Well, no, maybe I'll do another one. What's this white one? It's just, oh yeah, I'm going back to this one. Okay, good. So now we've got motion, we've got chat, we've got called out chats, we've got all kinds of things that can happen in the Restream, including the lo-fi hip hop, which to me, like the ambient was a little too chill for a Friday morning where I'm recovering from vaccines. So Rebecca says, a lot of people in Australia don't want to get the COVID vaccine because we already have returned to normal life, but I want to travel, so I will be getting it. I mean, the God's honest truth is there's not really a reason not to get it, other than it can affect you and sort of like, make your life annoying for a few days. Here in the U.S., everything is. I think I said this on Tuesday. Really impressed with the number of people who have been vaccinated in the U.S. at this point. I think it's like over 35% of the people in the United States are vaccinated, and that's like 130 something million people. So that's good. Travis MCP has an arcade background, and someone complained, how could he afford cabinet games in his background? Well, I know at least one of his cabinets is like a super duper multiplayer thing, but he worked with that company to get that and is promoted for them. I think some of the other ones are arcade 1-up games, which aren't really super expensive. I mean, they're not cheap, but they're not super expensive. So yeah, I think anybody who wonders how, I don't know what's wrong with people. I don't know what's wrong with people. So in Europe, they're going to make some sort of vaccine passport letting you travel. You need to be vaccinated or to be tested negative. Having a vaccine makes it way easier. That's true. I mean, that's a big debate here in the U.S., the vaccine passport thing, because I had this quasi argument with a friend of mine on one of the, like, Instagram or no, on Twitter, where a lot of people are saying, oh, they're going to make the vaccine mandatory. Now, they are not going to make the vaccine mandatory because we have this law called Roe versus Wade, which means that you have the right to choose what you do with your body, and that includes vaccinations. So anyway, so they're not going to make the vaccine mandatory, but people have been talking about this vaccine passport. And a lot of people feel like the vaccine passport might make it feel like to go anywhere, do anything, you have to have the vaccine passport. So that makes it mandatory. I don't know. In the United States, a lot of times we can't get out of our own way. We have to overthink everything, and everybody has to have an opinion, and an argument has to ensue. That's just the way it is right now. So, yeah, that's the state of affairs. Man, I've been making this Starbucks French roast whole bean stuff where I grind it before I make it. And I gotta say, I mean, Starbucks also does like they ground it themselves kind of thing, and I like the ground it themselves kind of thing already. The whole bean just doesn't have as much taste, and I don't want to over. I also find that I go through it much more quickly. So, Drone Lord says ostracizing non-vaccinated people is a bad road to go down. Well, see, the thing is, if the majority of people get vaccinated, and there's some who choose not to, right? Then there's not really any need to ostracize, because people will be vaccinated, and so they don't have to worry about it. Like they just announced yesterday that once you're fully inoculated, it takes 2 weeks post vaccination, second dose of the vaccination, 2 weeks before you're fully inoculated against COVID. And at that point, now they've just said that you can go out and without a mask anywhere, inside, outside, wherever you want to go with no mask. And I think it was either an Instagram reel or a TikTok by this woman. She was like walking through a parking lot, and she's like, "Oh, they just said that you don't have to wear a mask if you're vaccinated." And she took off her mask, and then she was like, "Oh, but I don't want people to think I'm one of those like anti-masker people." So she put the mask back on, which is a concern. I don't want to seem like I'm not being deferential to other people's health. So, Drone Lord says, I'm just wondering how many people will think they can demand proof from people. I don't know. I'm sure that the Karens are still out there. They're still out there. Although they might not, they might be anti-vax. I don't know. Would Jason get more likes on his next video if it was smartphone or washing machine review? That was a very good question. That is a very good question. I mean, I could review my washing machine. Samsung once offered me a washing machine, or a refrigerator, and yeah. Oh, John leaked new MacBook colors and Pixel 6 horror pics. Okay, let me go look at what John's got to say. Oh boy. John Prosser, Jon. No, not that. Hold on, I'm gonna look it up, and then we'll discuss if I can find where to search. Yes, there we go. John _ pro. Oh, there he is. Okay. Okay, so let's share screen. Share screen. Get my face out of there. Okay. So here we go. John's order has been shipped. Good. Okay, so I haven't watched this PHT. What's wrong with this? What's wrong with this phone? Can somebody tell me? What's wrong with it? I saw some of these pictures. I think it looks pretty cool. So somebody tell me what's wrong with this picture? What's wrong with the look at this phone? Anybody know? No, Rebecca, believe me, best coffee that I ever had when I just graduated high school. I was in a national choir. We toured Europe, and like 9 countries in 3 weeks, I think, or something like that. And the coffee that I had in France was like coffee that I'd never had anywhere before. I've been chasing that coffee for the last 30 plus years, and I've never come close to it again. So what is wrong with this picture? What is wrong with this phone? Now, this is the thing. Like, I'm tired of people making these faces in YouTube thumbnails. Tired of it. Because there's nothing wrong with that. This is like, I'm gonna gin up some controversy just by making these faces and saying, "Oh my god, I can't believe this." Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I like it. It's different. It's different. It One thing, it won't have like the camera hump on the. Hold on, let me get my picture back in here. One thing about it, it's not going to have this camera hump that makes it unlevel on the table. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So let's see here. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Do you guys like the addition of the music? I kind of like the music. Hey, don't look at my messages. Bow! Don't look at my messages. Hey, I want you guys to play a game. Over the next week or two, watch how many times John uses this phrase, and then report back to me. Just watch. Okay, Pixel 6. And I've seen these pictures everywhere. Why is, like, I've seen the pictures of the colored iMacs or MacBook Airs everywhere. Why is this a thing? I've seen them everywhere. And of course they're making colored iMacs, right? Because they just made colored iMacs. And the MacBook Air is their like consumer thing. So yeah, I don't know why this is a big deal. Yeah. Much ado about nothing. The court jester is wearing no pants when it comes to this stuff. So, I don't know. Let's go back to the stuff that's worth talking about. So let's bring this back here. What do I think about the white bezels? I don't care. I honestly don't care. I mean, it's not awesome, but the thing is, like, some people like the look of kind of a very sort of stolid and professional looking sleek machine, and some people, it's fresh, it's fun. And there's the thing about like the color, the thing about all the color negativity seems to me to have like some kind of undertone of sexism, and that doesn't sit right with me either. I mean, because I don't think you're going to find a lot of nerds who are going to go out and be like, yes, I want a sherbet orange computer, right? So there is a bit of sexism involved in this whole anti-color thing. And with these more how shall we call them, with these more pastel looking computers, honestly, I think that a white bezel will look better. I don't think a dark I mean, no bezels, I assume what everybody wants, but there's the white bezel is probably more appropriate for this color palette, right? So I mean, I'm sure that the professional, quote unquote, the professional models will have the darker bezels or no bezels or whatever it is. But this color palette wouldn't look as good, in my opinion, to what I assume is the target market, with these white bezels. Now, Deepak, my friend, you cannot conflate what I just said to mean that you can't be professional on a colorful computer. You most certainly can be. You can be professional on an Amiga 88 if you want. Okay? What I'm saying is Apple has segmented their lines into consumer and professional. Consumer now has fun colors. Professional now has probably the more normal sort of muted colors. Can you be professional on either? Yes. So in no way was I saying that you couldn't be professional on a colorful computer. I was only highlighting the difference between what Apple has done in segmenting their product lines. Okay? So, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Jonathan says, if phones have shown anything, it's the subdued drab colors are for the Pro devices. Subdued, yes. Drab, maybe not. I mean, the gold wasn't drab. The silver's not really drab. They're just more understated, right? They aren't as quote unquote fun as some of the other stuff, right? X Plumber says, I returned my professional Note 9 because it had a yellow S Pen. Got the black one since it released later. Yeah, well, I believe the blue and yellow was that a Best Buy exclusive, or no? That was a different year. Best Buy had their own exclusive colors. The yellow S Pen, it was a thing. I didn't like it. Well, I liked it for this reason. It was a really good approximation of my WVU Mountaineers colors. So I could say that I was using that to support my football team and basketball team, and highlight team and whatever else they have. You know what I'm saying? Whatever else they have. You could change the writing in yellow. It was very easy to change what color it wrote in. So, come on. So tasty. Yeah, I'm gonna close John's Twitter because it's annoying to look at. Let's see. Oh, let's look at this one. Right now, like it's just making me happy because places like BGR and The Verge and other places are just throwing like so much shade at YouTubers, and rightly so, honestly, because this leaking shit is just getting ridiculous. So this article is, let me scroll it out so we can read the whole thing. Come on now, scroll. There we go. Apple will surprise us with a huge new product launch next week. Leaker claims. A questionable rumor coming from YouTuber Luke Miani claims that Apple will release the third iteration of its popular AirPods on Tuesday, May 18th, in a statement provided to Apple Track. Now Luke Miani is getting into the leak game. Man, this shit is going downhill quick. Luke Miani has a good channel. He should just do what he does. Stay away from this crap. Miani adds that the AirPods 3 could very well launch alongside Apple Music HiFi. For those unfamiliar, Apple Music HiFi will allegedly... This sounds like a crime report. sounds like this sounds like somebody who like got statements from sketchy people at a crime scene, and this is journalism. Actually, I now like the print media more than I like the YouTubers. The YouTubers are freaking annoying as crap to me these days. Allegedly bring hi-fi audio recordings to Apple Music, lending credence to to this particular rumor. Code in the recent iOS.6 beta even refers to items like lossless audio and high-quality stereo streaming. At this point, it's fair to assume that AirPods 3 and Apple Music Hi-Fi are indeed slated to launch sometime this year. Now, whether or not that means we'll see Apple make some sort of announcement next Tuesday, well, that remains to be seen. According to several credible reports, the Luke Miani shade is just very, very dark. We've seen over the past few months, Apple's AirPods 3 will borrow a number of AirPods Pro features. Okay. So have I told you guys how news stories work? How they like writing a news story works? The news is always in the first 3 paragraphs, and then or so. I mean, it could be just this, because really there's only 2 paragraphs worth of questionable information that they're reporting. So then they go into what they have as like what they've already published, what's already on the record. They go back and they fill their space with that. So if you ever find yourself working in a well, I mean, who would find themselves working in a newspaper? But if you ever find yourself working in a newspaper on a copy desk, and you need only 3 paragraphs worth of stuff to fill a little space and you're using an AP wire story or something like that, you can put in the first 3 paragraphs and then delete everything below it, and no information will be lost. No pertinent information to the story will be lost. It's brilliant. Man, this is shady though. Apple's Leagur claims questionable rumor coming from YouTuber Luke Miani. Ouch. That's not how I want to get mentioned in the media. But there it is. Okay. iPhone 13 Apple fans might not like the sound of this newest design rumor. Oh my God. Can somebody please scratch my eyes out with like a fork? Just scratch my eyes out with a fork. iPhone 13 could be bulkier, and every other rumor we've heard about latest rumor design compared allegedly increases the thickness and a larger camera bump. See, here's what I want to know. So John went to all the trouble of going after Google for what to me seems like a pretty interesting camera design. But when Apple comes out with like a camera design that has like a giant size, like full back stovetop on it, he is not going to say a thing. That's my prediction. Anyway, John's got a long history of fucking with Google. He likes it. He thinks it makes him cool or something. I don't know. Anyway, bulkier. Show of hands in the chat. How many people care if the new iPhone is bulkier? Anyone? No. Retethered says, since this is an S year, Apple will probably work on making their camera slightly better and better battery life. I don't know, man. Battery life on the iPhone is it's pretty much. I mean, they'll always try and improve battery life, but yeah, I don't think that it's gonna matter that much. Yes, John turned into I mean, maybe I love John as a person, but I don't know what he's doing these days. USB-C probably not going to happen unless they put the M1 in the iPhone. Now that's one discussion about the iPhone that I would like to have. If they put the M1 in the iPhone, like, that's going to be crazy. I don't know. The iPhone doesn't have dim screens. I find the iPhone to look just fine. And actually, when you have its what do you call it? It's got the most unnoticeable sort of like auto dimming of anything else. Who knows what they're going to call it? There might be So Rebecca asked, does anyone think that Apple's going to skip the iPhone 13, maybe go for the iPhone 12s? 13 is a weird number. That's the only reason I could see them not going there. I mean, they seem to have, since the 10s, they seem to have given up on the S line of phones. So it'll be interesting to see. I think they'd like to give more of the sense that they're moving forward more than they are every year. And like an S phone seems like a afterthought or like a, holding pattern. M1, all the things. That seems to be the plan. I got a video coming out tomorrow about which M1 device is right for you. It's an interesting Pro XDR stand with M1. Yeah, as long as it came with the XDR display, that would be cool. So, let's see. M1 AirPods Max. Yeah. If they name it the 12S Pro and Pro Max, why wouldn't they name the standard model with just the 12S? See, that's the problem. They came out with the 12 and the 11, and so now they're kind of stuck. And these names get kind of out of control when you've got the 12S Pro and then you've got the 12S Pro Max. It starts to get a little confusing. Wallbank with the $9.99 USD super chat. Good morning to you, sir, as well. Thank you for stopping by. We're talking about all the latest and greatest questionable information coming from YouTubers. Oh, man. I tell you what, if that's what you have to do to make a living on YouTube anymore, who cares? But, there must be something else. Oh, Bush and RYU Cat with $5 USD. Good morning to you, sir or madam. Your name is not gender specific, but good morning and thank you for the super chat. The 10s and the 10s Max were higher end iPhones, and the 10R was the budget model. If they throw an S back in there's no idea which they call the entry model. Yeah, I agree. I don't know if we're going to see an S. I don't know if we're going to see an S, but so Sydney, my cousin, asks, what's my opinion of the new Apple monitors? I did pick a color. I just ordered one. Here's a little public service announcement for anybody who's been thinking about getting a new iMac. Best Buy is still listing shipping dates for most of the models, not all, but most of the models, as the 26th of May. Whereas if you go on Apple's website, it's not that. It's way further out for most models. But yeah, I ordered the blue one just because it seemed like the most inoffensive. But if I were picking just for myself and not for the YouTube channel as well, then I probably would have just gone with silver, because silver is Silver would work with most of the stuff that I have. Like everything that I have on all the desks that I have, everything else is black. I don't know how I mean, blue is the closest that I could get to something that would look like, you know, what I needed. If you can you honestly see the difference with 90 hertz and 120 hertz if the content you're watching doesn't support it anyway? The only place that you can see the difference between 90 and 120 hertz on a phone or any other display when the content that you're watching doesn't support it is in the touch sensitivity, like how fast fast and smooth things seem to look on the screen. And in my opinion, that fast and smoothness is negligible. It might have made a bigger deal years ago, but these days, to me, it's totally negligible. The difference between 60 hertz and 120 hertz, and the difference between 90 hertz and 60 hertz. I mean, I just don't even know that that's there. But I have a lot of people tell me in the comments of my videos where I've talked about this that I'm old and I'm stupid and my eyes are bad and that's why I can't see it. So, yeah, that's that. Yeah, the entry level iPhone now is just called iPhone, like iPhone 12. Yeah. So it would be weird to start giving it letters as well as just a designation. I want to see this iPad Pro XDR screen, but honestly, having to make a choice about what I'm going to cover on the YouTube channel versus what I might personally want more. The iPad is something that I might want more for myself, but the iMac is the thing that's probably more interesting to more people, and so that's what I've chosen to cover. So yeah, it's a different kind of thing. Silver is ubiquitous. Silver is neutral. I mean, sometimes you want stuff on your desk that's neutral, right? Neutrality is good. Did the iPhone Mini really do that bad? I thought Apple didn't release specific details about which products sold over the others. I love the iPhone Mini and hope it sticks around. As far as I know, the Apple Mini did the iPhone Mini did terrible. Now, see, Apple doesn't release specific sales numbers, but in triangulating all of the different things that they're ordering from all of the different companies, et cetera, people can sort of get an idea of how many are sold and how many are being made. So the Mini seemed like a decent idea, but I guess it just wasn't that compelling to the rank and file people out there in the world. So I don't know. Bushin asks, have you ever seen a movie promote a new iPhone or any phone like Spider-Man did with the Vio laptop? Well, there is a reason why Spider-Man would promote a Vio laptop, or well, back in the day, because the rights to Spider-Man as a character are owned by Sony Productions. Sony makes the Vio. Sony then puts their products in the movies. If you ever watch a Sony produced movie, like any of the James Bond movies or anything like that, you will notice that almost everybody is using a Sony smartphone, and and so yeah, it's the only time you'll ever see a Sony smartphone in the U.S. But I think Moomin might have a point here. The only reason that one of the reasons that the Mini didn't do well is because people who wanted a smaller phone bought the SE2. Now, the only thing that I would say is more attractive about the Mini is the inclusion of Face ID. Having used the the SE2 for a while and having some older iPhones, Touch ID is still really good, but it's kind of annoying when you're used to using an iPhone that has Face ID, and whenever you pull it up, it's just open. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Apple TV has Apple products everywhere. Yeah, nobody will use a phone other than an iPhone in an Apple TV show. That's just the way it is. And did you guys know? Now, this is the truth. Apple will not allow bad guys in movies. Yes, see, Jonathan's right there with me. Apple will not allow bad guys in movies to use an iPhone. So only the good guys are allowed to use iPhones in the movies. And I guess Apple has to say because it's their intellectual property. So, if you're going to use it in their world, then, but yeah. KG says, keep meaning to ask Jason, do you have an espresso machine, tech related? And that's probably my most used gadget in the home. Does some great flavors. I have the Virtuo Stormio for the win. Yes, in fact, I have a Virtuo as well. And Stormio is pretty good. I'll agree with you there. I decided to do the drip coffee thing. I was like, oh, I'm bored of this. And the boxes of things are like kind of expensive compared to just buying coffee. So, but I do have one. I do really like it. It might be time to break it out here once I get done with this bag of beans. I like to make I got myself a little frother for the milk as well. Make myself a little latte. So yeah. Oh, tech nerd. Tech nerd. Come now. I am evil, I guess. Since I'm using an Android phone right now, that must mean that I'm evil. Yes. Don't most criminals use iPhones in real life though? Probably so. But the truth of the matter is, like, I think in the U.S., if you were to walk out and go to, well, okay, so people can't go anywhere or do anything, but were people able to go places and do things of their own free accord? If you were to do an informal survey of the place around you, you would find more iPhones than anything else. It's like whenever I see the world, I see iPhones everywhere. Whenever we talk about this stuff, it's like there's not it's like there's some sort of equal playing field. I know that the rest of the world is different. People get mad at me because they're like, oh, the rest of the world has this, that, the other thing. It's like, I don't live in the rest of the world, and I'm not familiar with how the rest of the world operates in the way that I am with the US. So I like to talk about things that I know. And so there you go. Yes, I'm an evil Android wizard. That's what I am. And it's really crazy because this came out in January, so it's 5 months. I've been using this phone without changing my SIM card to anything else. That's surprising. I don't know if I'm just getting lazy or or if I really like this phone. Khalil says, I just read yesterday that Apple has a 52% market share in the US, which I was surprised by because I thought Android had higher market share. In the rest of the world, yes. In the rest of the world, yes. Especially in lesser economic developed countries, there are more choices and more price points and that kind of thing for people to get Android phones. And so I think a lot of people get Android phones for that reason. And iPhones are ridiculously even more expensive. than they are here. I know I've heard from people in India saying that it's almost impossible to buy an iPhone because of how expensive it ends up being. So yeah, I think in the rest of the world, the Android platform is more so uh, has more of the market share. But in the U.S., I mean, and 52% doesn't seem like a lot. I mean, it is a lot. Like one phone brand. I mean, that would be like, if there was only one Android brand and they had the other 48% of the marketplace. Um, so yeah, but when you go out into the world, like walking around, it feels like you see mostly iPhones. That's not a scientific fact. I just feel like that's what it is. In Europe, you get mostly iPhones and Samsungs. What about Huawei or like these other phones that you can get over there? See, this is the thing. When we talk in the tech bubble, we talk about these other phones, and some of these other phones are cool and everything like that. Um, but the problem is, like, I really don't think they're as ubiquitous in the Western world as a lot of people might want to make it seem like they are. Rebecca says Apple has 54% market share in Australia. So, um, Khalil says, I knew iPhone was the single most popular brand, but Android is thousands of brands and put together. So I didn't think the iPhone was more popular than all of them together. But yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you would think that since there are so many other different brands of different companies that make Android phones, that there would be some uh, that there would be a bigger portion. But the thing is, like, I just I think there are several factors in play. I think for one thing, for one thing, the smartphone market is still not full. It hasn't fully penetrated the lower end of the spectrum when it comes to people's incomes. Um, it's much closer, but it hasn't been. Um, sorry. Okay. So I just think that now that Apple has um, made their product line much more approachable to many more people. I mean, we've got the SE2, the we've got the 11 and 12 models. We've got, basically from what, $400 all the way up to $1,500. There's an iPhone sort of sitting within $100 of all the rest of the iPhone line. So you can pick one up and really sort of pick your price. Whereas before, let's look back to 2017 when it was the iPhone 10, and that was basically it, and the iPhone 8. But the iPhone 10 was basically the model, and you had to pay $1,000, or that was it, right? That was really their only quote unquote new model. So now they have now they have much more of a market penetration. Celebrities using iPhones help with the popularity, probably to a certain extent. But the thing is, like, a lot of brands pay celebrities to use their brands, right? I don't think that Apple does. In fact, there's the funny story of when Marquez Brownlee, he was on Twitter, and Gal Gadot, or Gadot, I guess it's pronounced, was making a little like thread about how she loved her Huawei phone, but the tweet said it was posted on iPhone. And of course, Huawei had paid her to be a brand ambassador for their products, I just think that for better or worse, iPhones are easier to use, and once you know how to use one, there's very little that you can't figure out, right? And not to say that like Android phones are a scientific calculator by comparison or anything. That's not the case. But I think iPhones are just simple, and I think there's a fashion element to it, and so I think that's why people choose to use them. And so when you're somebody who's in the public sphere, then when you're somebody in the public sphere, then you keep up appearances, and it's not necessarily a negative shot at the Android phones. It's just it might also be the green versus blue bubble, for that matter. It might be that all these famous people have a giant iMessage thread going. Who knows? So, and I do think also that when it comes to computers and tablets and phones and everything else, and the fact that the iPhone works together with all of those things, I think for somebody who's a celebrity, it's probably easier to do that and not have to worry about trying to make different things work. Yeah, KG has a point here. I mean, not all celebrities are tech. Not all people are tech savvy, but not all celebrities are tech savvy, or they don't want to bother with it. So, they go with what is easiest. Yeah, but Apple doesn't need anybody to be a spokesperson for them. Yeah, Blackpink. I think didn't the other K-pop group that BTS, didn't they also do a Samsung thing? So yeah, celebrities are too rich to care. I don't know about that. You got to remember, money is relative. No matter how much money you have, you end up having the same number of problems. In fact, in some cases, even more. So, I'm not saying that being poor is easy, but well, Apple is for the masses, yes, but I mean, it's designed. That's Apple's whole like way that they design their products is to be easily accessible by people, but it's not. But they make it that way in a very deliberate fashion. They're trying to make it a way that works for the most people, and they're very prescriptive about it. They're very prescriptive about how they do that. All right, Bushin says this is his last question. In 2 years, do we stop making competitive laptops? No one's doing it but Apple, and who uses it at home anymore? I don't know, man. That's a good question. One thing that worries me about the M1 chips, the M series chips that Apple's coming out with, is that there's very little about these machines to make you want to pick one over the other. But yeah, I think that we're entering into a period where where the speed and power available in laptops is going to be such that you could literally do just about anything you want on any level of laptop. And of course, we've discussed in certain instances that might not be the case on the more consumer facing models, but for the most part, yes. So Apple's making this huge leap forward, but I wonder if it isn't going to turn out to be like Apple stuff suddenly becomes more of a commodity. Like it does. You get an iPad or you get a MacBook Air. Do you get an iPad? Do you get a MacBook Pro? What do you get? Because they're all relatively the same price. They have the exact same insides inside them, and so what's the point? You could choose any one that you want, and there's no product segmentation anymore in the way that there used to be. It used to be if you wanted if you wanted a MacBook Air, you were likely going to get like an i5 off the shelf. You could get an i5 or an i3 chip, no graphics card, and it was a hindered machine. It was a machine not capable of doing a lot of the stuff that you want to do. So that's why you would pay more for the upper end machines. But now, I mean, it'll do anything. So what's the reason to buy a more expensive model when the least expensive model will do everything? And I think that once we get to that place, then it's not going to matter. And the thing about it is, I think that's what Apple wants to a certain extent, because they want for more and more people to have their devices in their homes, and more of their devices than as many of those devices as they possibly can. So they don't really care who buys what at what price point, as long as whatever they buy can help them access the services that Apple sells. Because the hardware age is ending. The age where the differences between the hardware is enough that you choose one over the other, that age is ending. So now we've got this whole age of the what you do with it is more important than what it is. So it's going to be interesting to see how all this plays out, not knowing what they're going to do with the more upscale pro models, whatever you want to call them, the models that are made for professional applications, as opposed to being facing toward the consumer end of the market. Will they make an M1 Apple Pencil? I don't know, man. All I know is I'm still pissed about my Apple Pencil. I got to make a video about this, because my Apple Pencil died, and I can't recharge it. Turns out if you let an Apple Pencil discharge its battery too many times, it just won't charge up again. So, should I get the new Apple TV 4K? I'm probably going to get one, but my Apple TV 4K that I have right now has been acting funny. I'm definitely replacing the remote control, because that touch remote control is the biggest piece of trash. We were talking about Apple's worst products, and we talked about Newton and Pippin and all those kinds of things. That Siri remote that comes with the Apple TV might be Apple's worst product ever. It just might be. Just might be. Apple TV or iPad Pro? I don't know, man. That's tough. I mean, iPad Pro obviously offers you more flexibility, more use cases, and that kind of thing. But then again, Apple TV is my favorite way to access my streaming services, because it consolidates most everything in that Apple TV app, and makes it easier to find stuff. And I do find that the fidelity might be better, or at least it appears to be better. Why does the new Apple TV have HDMI 2.1? Well, if you look at the upgrade cycle of the Apple TV, it's like 5 to 7 years, and HDMI 2.1 started coming out in televisions in 2019. So within the next 5 to 7 years, HDMI 2.1 is going to be on even the lower end TVs that are available. So Apple wants to, it makes sense for them to have that spec on this box. I mean, I have a LG C9. It has HDMI 2.1. I mean, there's nothing that you can do about it, but the new consoles are going to take advantage of it at some point and that kind of thing. Oh, which reminds me, I finally got a PS5. Well, I didn't get it. A friend of mine got it, and he's selling it to me for cost. And I'm so excited because I got to the point where I was just like, I'll get one when I get one. But my friend likes to do these things. It's kind of like a pastime for him. So I'm very excited for the PS5. So Rob says, the pandemic certainly impacted Apple's prices. They have to rethink the future strategy. People don't have money for bread and butter. They can't think about for buying Apple products. That is a good point. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how well we come out of this in the next 12 to 18 months, and how things develop. Because the problem is, this is sort of unprecedented, and there's sort of a perfect storm of things happening in tech. There is the idea that we have this chip shortage, and now there's there's fuel problems, and then there was the Suez Canal thing, and there are all these things that have impacted the schedule that tech would normally be on, over and above COVID. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out. What we might be seeing is a move toward more of a longevity message than a conspicuous consumption message. And I think, once again, Apple is well positioned for that message as well, because their products already last a long time. The iPhone is supported with new software updates for 5 years. So depending on how we come out of this, that could be part of the messaging from Apple. Say, hey, you get 5 years of updates with our machines, and you can buy this extended warranty that is, goes out for three years, and yada yada yada. So it could be that we see a lot of different things. Selling out to Sony, no. I've always been a PlayStation guy. Those headphones were only $900 in Australia. They were $550 over here. The thing is, a product like that is somewhat recession proof, okay? Because the person who would buy a $550 pair of headphones is probably going to buy that pair of headphones regardless of the current economic climate. Whereas the person who wasn't going to buy them or isn't able to buy them wouldn't be able to buy them regardless of the economic climate, right? So that's just, and that's not to cast aspersions one way or the other. It's just, I think that high ticket price items like that are somewhat recession proof, in the sense of the fact that they just, they sell themselves in a weird way. I don't know. Does that make sense? Maybe it makes sense. We've got a super chat. Who's super chatting? KG with the 5 Great British Pounds. They're still posting record numbers. I'm not sure Apple are worried about the working poor. What is good is my dad still runs a good iPhone 6s. Yeah, I mean, yes. I don't think anyone will ever accuse Apple of being like a, you know, this. Apple does things to help education. Apple does that. You know, they have a lot of outreach, just like other companies do. But they're a business, and so I think if you look at some of the things that they've done, if you look at the low cost iPads, right? The fact that you can get an iPad, you know, on sale, you can get a new iPad for like $250. I think that Apple's pricing policies on a decent number of their products have become more consumer friendly than they were before. And you do have the benefit of the fact that they will last for a long time, as you say, with your dad's success. Um, so, so I don't know. Apple doesn't run a charity, but I do think they try and do their part to support and help people who need help. You know, which is another interesting thing that I saw today. Here's The Verge. The Verge has reviewed Starlink. And so, Starlink review: broadband dreams fall to earth. SpaceX's satellite internet service is a technological marvel when it works. So Starlink is really, really interesting to me, and I think to a lot of people, but I'm very interested in it. And basically, if you don't know what Starlink is, it's satellite internet. You know, so it's like SpaceX, Elon Musk's company, has sent out all these satellites, and they're bringing broadband internet to just about any place for free, or not for free, for like it's portable, right? So it's at $4.99 is not a bad price, uh, but it's not available. And I guess from what they say, um, like you have to be out in the open. You have to like not have any trees. You have to do some sort of like yoga pose to get it to work. I think this is a technology that's going to change. That's going to change the landscape of like internet access and people people's ability to see, because I really do think that broadband internet has is now like a like, not necessarily a human rights issue, but an equity and equality issue, because the more that we rely on the internet to do the more things that we do, the more it disenfranchises people who can't access high speed internet. So I'm interested. I mean, but those people are also going to struggle to pay $4.99 for Starlink. But it's the beginning. It's the beginning. I think Google makes Starlink great. Yeah. Well, where's Google Fi? I've been waiting for 10 years for Google Fi. Still never showed up. Still never showed up. I don't. I don't know what. um. Yeah. I don't know what. I haven't done enough research into like how Starlink is eventually going to work, but the fact I think they just launch the satellites not long ago, and people were like, "Look, you can see them across the sky," and now like you can use the service. So we're talking like infancy. I'm just looking, seeing what people are saying. Uh, so yeah, Starlink. We've got Google I/O. What to expect from Google I/O in 2021 is another story that I saw this morning. And Android 12 services, Pixel Buds A series. What are Pixel Buds A series? Oh, okay. It's to true wireless. Okay. New Pixel Buds with fast pair. Okay. So Google I/O sounds boring. All right. Well, any other questions? I'm starting to flag here because I'm still feeling kind of crappy from the vaccine thing. But tell me what you last round of questions, and we will call it a day. Do Americans still get free internet? Slower than the paid version? Americans never got free internet. We never got free internet. What are you talking about? No, we pay through the nose for shitty internet. No, we have better internet service available to us now through the places that we used to get it. But yeah, like I pay for gigabit internet and don't typically get that. And 60 megabits per second up is what I pay for, and usually the 60 I get, but the gigabit down I don't get, and I think that's like $125 a month. So what am I going to do this weekend? That's a good question. I gotta get some. Excuse me. I gotta get some video stuff ready. I've got to do a video on the smart mattress that I got from 8 Sleep. 8 Sleep is a company that has made like a smart mattress, and it's crazy what it will tell you. I don't know if I've covered this in a live stream before, but like, so the app. This is the app, and it like you can set your time to go to sleep, and it cools the bed down when it's time to go to sleep, and it warms the bed up when it's time to wake up. And because supposedly when you're cooler, you go to sleep more easily, and when you warm up, you wake up more easily. But it also tracks your sleep. So like, and it gives you a sleep score based on time slept, wake up consistency, time to fall asleep, time to leave bed, overall timeline, and then it gives you the sleep stages. Like last night I got 18% REM sleep, 57% light sleep, and 25% deep sleep, which is either better or worse than it was before. And it tells you like your sleeping heart rate, which for me was about 69 when I went to sleep. At some point went up to 83 and then went down to 54. 10 times did I toss and turn throughout the night. So yeah, it's actually pretty cool. And because I have this information and I look at it every morning, I am actually sleeping better, which is making me feel like not a terrible sloth. Yes, I did write a book. It's called The 14th Colony. It's available for Amazon in ebook form for free. So if you just go and type in Jason Lewis, The 14th Colony, you will find my novel, and you can download it for free on the Amazon. and read it to your heart's content. The idea of a smart mattress freaks you out? Well, yeah, I mean, I guess so. The thing about it is, like, it's the comparison that I'm making with it is it's kind of like an Apple Watch, but for your bed, right? So it has like a CPU tower, and that CPU tower has like, so it circulates water, and the water is what warms up and cools down the bed and regulates the temperature throughout the night. And then it has all these sensors in it, and that's what gives you the information. So it's kind of like back in the day, I tried a few of those apps where you would like put your phone on the bed with the app running, and it would like try and tell you, try and like track your sleep. This does a better job of tracking sleep than anything that I've ever encountered. No audiobook. No audiobook. Although I've considered it, but I haven't done an audiobook. So what am I? Bushing with the $10 super chat. Thank you. If you're an iOS user, the AirPods Pro are really good. Are you talking the Sony W's, the in-ear noise canceling, the ANC, like true wireless? Because I didn't care for those as much. The AirPods Pro are still probably my favorite in-ear headphones. And if you're using iOS, then it's a no-brainer. Man, thank you. Another super chat, $10 for the ebook, Reading It at the Park. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. What would happen if water leaked onto the sensors? What would that result in electrocution or something similar? I don't think so. I've had that question in my own mind. But I don't think so. Like at first I was like, oh geez, I better not let the dogs get up on the bed and all that kind of stuff. But it seems like it's pretty sturdily made in terms of like the materials that they've used it. So I haven't encountered any problems yet. So yeah. Well, according to some sketchy leaks from Luke Miani, the AirPods might be coming next week. So if you want to wait for the AirPods 3, yeah, Luke Miani says that he has the poop. I don't know, man. I don't know. Why does everybody want to leak stuff now? It's like if you do it and you're successful, then you're stuck doing it for the rest of your life. Sennheiser True Wireless Momentums. I haven't tried those yet. I really want to, but I haven't tried them yet. Favorite Marty Robbins song would have to be I can't remember the name of that song, but that's the song. Yeah, I liked the original AirPods, but once the Pros came out, I was just like, these were good when the Pros didn't. Oh, yeah. El Paso, thank you. The Pros were good. The regular AirPods were good until the Pros came out, and then I was like, well, why would I want to use the regular AirPods with like the sound leakage and all that other stuff? So, yeah. How can the S Pen not be in Z Fold 3? Well, I mean, they could not be able to make a screen that would be able to handle being written on, and then that would do it. Favorite Pink Floyd song? Oh, geez, I don't know. Fearless is my favorite Pink Floyd song. Yeah. My. Here's a question. What do you think of 2.1 computer speakers? Which brand is better, irrespective of budget? That's a good question. I mean, because there's a few different ways that you could go. You could get a 2.1 system that are like, like quote unquote studio monitors, or you could get a 2.1 system that is more made for sort of a desktop computer thing. Now, I have the Razer Nomos, the sort of canister looking things. They have an upscale model that, I mean, I like the Nomos. They sound pretty good, and if you just want something that's going to sound pretty decent on your on your on your desk, then those are okay. They also have, like, I think it's called the Leviathan, that's like a sound bar for your desktop. And I haven't tried that, but I would like to try it. Klipsch, I believe, still makes a nice set of 2.1s, and those have always kind of been the gold standard that a lot of people like. Geez, a lot of people like the Presonus Eris 3.5s. They're not 2.1, but you can get a sub with them. Presonus makes a sub. I think it's a giant sub though. So yeah, the desktop speaker market is not quite what it was at one time. But I would say look at the Razer stuff and look at the Klipsch stuff would be the first place to go. Because I didn't expect the Razer Nomos to be any good, and I do like them quite a bit. So there's that. I haven't listened to the new Weezer record, but I mean, I like Weezer, but they've never been a band that I like listen to. So yeah. I don't know if I'm going to do anything on the Huawei event. I might cover it in a live stream or something like that. Sennheiser just sold their business to a company in Switzerland. They kept their professional branch. Yeah, I did hear that. And I can't remember the name. The name it's a pretty well known company that they sold to, and I can't remember. It's a company that makes like hearing aids, and I can't remember the name. Yeah, Alltech Lansing. See, the thing about Alltech Lansing is that the stuff that was put out under the Alltech Lansing name was, so somebody bought that name from them and put out stuff under their name, but they were like a professional, like professional, like in recording studios and radio stations and that kind of thing, brand for the longest time until they sort of went off the map in the 80s. And then when they brought them back, somebody bought the name and made consumer products. So I don't know where they are at this point. What do I think about Xiaomi getting off the blacklist? I don't know, man. That stuff is so murky that it's really, really difficult to say, like, oh, so I can't claim to know that much about it. I do know that people love their phones. I do know that they're somewhat different than Huawei in terms of how they're put together. But there are so many conspiracy theories that you could come up with that could explain all of this. I mean, basically, the U.S. marketplace has become like it's a two-party system. It's Apple and Samsung now. So I don't know. Klipsch is great. They have options at Costco if you want them for cheaper than usual. Keeping an eye on their home theater setups that looks amazing for like $7.99. Yeah, I have, but it's not set up right now. An entire Klipsch system where with a Sony receiver, AV receiver, two double 8-inch towers, surrounds, the whole deal, and that thing sounds fantastic. But it takes up so much space that it's kind of I've kind of become lazy, and it's like there is a significant difference in listening when you have like a full set of separates like that. There is a big difference in your listening experience, but on a day-to-day basis, like, if you're watching YouTube videos, like, what are you really getting out of that? So for me, I'm kind of like, but I'm kind of jonesing to put it back together just to listen to music. You're the only YouTube to think as I think about Apple, and thank you very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yeah, when it comes to audio stuff like Klipsch, even in their like, so Klipsch makes really high end stuff that like you can't walk into any store and buy, right? But then they have like the line of stuff that they sell at Best Buy, and then they have their surround sound bars and that kind of thing. That stuff is all really good, and they're one of the only companies that I know of that makes really, really good stuff. And then they also still have an incredibly robust like hi-fi setup. Like they just released a new version of the Klipsch Fortes, which are one of their most famous speakers, and those speakers are just like stupid expensive. But I would love to have a pair with them. But see, once you start getting into what I call rolling speakers, where you're like trying different speakers all the time. I've been in this place, like different new speakers, different vintage speakers, different that. It's even more than like smartphones. Hold on here. Rebecca asked, do you think that social media companies should do something to stop people from destroying technology for views? In my opinion, getting paid for destroying something with rare earth materials is wrong. I mean, that's a good question. On one hand, people think that like protected speech applies to any speech. And I mean, social media companies could say, if you do this, that, or the other thing on our platform, then you will be removed from our platform. And I do notice that the days of like everything Apple Pro shooting phones for views are gone. But yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky line to walk for any private social media company, because on one hand, the attractiveness of their platform is people's ability to come and express themselves, right? And so the more they feel restricted by their ability to express themselves, the more they don't feel like they have quote unquote freedom. And so like YouTube definitely has to walk the line between protecting their own interests and protecting their user base and the people that spend money on their platform. But at the same time, they don't want to overly infringe on people's ability to say anything. But yeah, I don't really agree with the tech destroying thing. It seems I haven't seen it for a while. It seems to have sort of run its course. But then again, you got jerry rig everything. I do think that he provides a service. So, and some of those phones he goes on and uses for himself, which is always fun. Ah, yes, Sonovo. That's what we were just talking about that a second ago. The fact that Sennheiser's consumer stuff had just been bought out. Yeah, I don't know, and I was surprised to hear that Sennheiser was like sort of in the position where they needed or wanted to sell that stuff. Because even like the news story that I heard was that they had still like record profits year over year, and they still were in trouble. So, iPhone versus molten lava. Well, I mean, if you're throwing it into molten lava, that might solve the rare earth metal problem. Not, I'm not a geologist, but I don't know. Um, yeah, yeah. Just check out the stuff that's out there. I mean, there's it. Like I said, it depends on what you want to get. Do you want to get something that is like desktop, sort of like studio or hi-fi, or do you want to get something that's more like gamer or like desktop meant for the desktop? You can spend a little bit of money and get something really good. You can spend a lot of money and get something really great. Sometimes you spend a lot of money and get something that's only okay, which is really unfortunate. But anyway, folks, I'm going to shut it down so I can like get a few things done and get back on the couch and rest or something. Because I'm still a little punch drunk from everything. But good stream today. Good questions. I appreciate it, everybody. And Jonathan's correct. The more you click on any kind of video, the more video YouTube will show you those videos. So like that's the thing about like these leaker videos and everything like that. I mean, if the viewing public on YouTube shows that they will click like Pavlov's dog on some kind of stupid leak video that has no real informational value and is just made to draw your attention to that particular channel. If people continue to show that that's what they're willing to watch, and they're willing to watch that more than like content that has substance, then that's what YouTube is going to surface. YouTube's algorithm is going to say, "Oh, people want to watch ridiculous stuff that doesn't have any actual truth or bearing on reality." So think about that the next time you click on a link video or on a leak video, people. Anyway, good to talk to you guys. Really appreciate it. Once again, my name is Jason, sometimes known as the JTL. Friday morning coffee. I brought a big enough coffee that I didn't even get through all of it. Until the next time, look for a video tomorrow coming out about which M1 Mac you should choose. But until then, I'll talk to you later. Until the next time, I'm out.